Hello and welcome. This video we're going to take a look at the Scott class. So this was one of the Miracle Worker cruisers that was introduced into the game. So we've got several variants. We've got the Daystrom, the Scott and the Tucker class. Bit of an unusual looking ship. I thought it'd be quite fun to do a video on it. So I'm going to take a look at the Vanity shields available from the Dilithium store during certain events of the year, and the only one that's currently available in the Zen store as well. Now, as always, the chapters detailing each shield is in the description below, along with several links that I shall cover off at the end of the video. So let's jump straight in. So the first shield we'll be looking at is the Alliance Vanity Shield, part of the Mutara Alliance bundle in the Zen store. And this is the only shield that's currently available in the store. In the bundle you get the shield, the Mutara Alliance uniform and an upgrade. So for the shield itself, we have this white patterned hull material. You've got the gold shading and the grey shading there. For the Bizarre collectors, you've got that orange plasma look there. You can see it's gold in the centre and on the outer ring. Come down to this deflector, and I'll zoom in a bit more. So you can see that pattern effect there on the deflector array. You get a better view of that orange plasma effect there as well on the Bizarre collectors. And we see this red to orange and yellow pattern here as well at the front of the nacelles. That very nice blue scrolling light there. It's quite a nice detail. Then you've got the cyan there for the nacelle colouring. And then with the red through orange, yellow to white and back again there for the impulse engines. There's that scrolling light, blue light again. Then zoom a bit closer here so you can see that triangular pattern that's got different hues to it. You can also see a triangular pattern throughout the whole material there as well. You know, more of this impulse colouring effect here at the back of the nacelle. This ship certainly has a bit of an odd shape, odd design. Certainly not one of the best looking ships in the game, but it's quite an interesting one. It was quite a bold design choice. And on the underside again, we've got some more of that patterned white hull material, the grey, quite a bit more of the gold there. Then we can see we've got this quite a large name and registry number there on the underside as well. Now, as for the engine trails, we'll gauge impulse. So we've got the standard blue and reddish orange there of the Federation, so it's not dependent upon the shield on this particular one. Moving on to the Dilithium store now. So first up we have a Safe Galaxy Refit Vanity Shield. So we've got this grey patterned hull material. You see some lighter grey there as well. Got the gold there for the Bizarre collectors. I do like those Bizarre collectors. Quite a nice design even with the unusual design of the ship. And we've got this slightly golden yellowish colour for the deflector array. See a bit more pattern there in the centre of the Bizarre collectors with that grey. Got the gold there of the impulse engine showing. And that blue pulsating scrolling light there, so it's It's very like the warp core effect in TNG. And we have the goldy yellow there for the cell colouring. Slightly more orangey colouring there for the impulse engines. A bit more again there at the back. Just wonder if that is actually the warp cores. Be interesting if it is. And then we see the full pattern effect of the shield there. And a bit of that green illumination here at the rear. And then again it's just the same with the grey pattern and the lighter grey there on the underside. So engine trail wise, it's a yellowish trail that we're getting off of both the warp and impulse engines. It marries up quite well. I think if it had been slightly lighter, it would have worked better, but still close enough. Next up is a very popular shield in the game. This is the Vanity shield. We've got that black hull material. You can see that cyan lighting there on the Sard collectors. This red really does stand out well against the darker hull material. And with the cyan there for the deflector. With the red impulse engine effects there at the front of the nacelles. Same there at the top. And with the cyan lighting there for the nacelles themselves. And then as you can see the light hitting here, you can see this etched pattern design within the hull material. Then, I've said it near every video that I've done, my favourite impulse engine effect of all the shields is this lovely red. Don't know what it is about it, there's just something that makes me love it. Some of that cyan lighting there at the bottom. Again, some more of that etched pattern there. Yeah, so look at the top and you see more of that etched pattern design. And I'm going to same here on the underside. So engine trail wise, and it's a standard Federation one that we've got. So we've got the blue and that orangey red. So it doesn't marry up with the shield, unfortunately. If that'd been a nice deeper red and that the lighter cyan there, that would have been perfect. Up next, it's the Borg Vanity shield. So this is a liberated Borg skin for your ship, not an assimilated Borg or a Borg cube style skin for the ship, unfortunately. So you have this grey patterned hull material, and the patterns are made up of various shapes and sizes of hull plates. Then you'll see this orange and almost golden lighting and some blue there. So that's exposed sections of the hull, and I'll zoom in. And you can see the black conduit material underneath. That's quite an extensive effect on this particular ship. And whilst we're zoomed in, you can see that blue with a grey trail around the edges there for the Bassard collectors. Got the blue there for the deflector. Fortunately, don't get to see the nice pattern that this shield actually has for the deflector ray just because of the shape of this one. Then there's the blue there of the impulse engines in the front of the nacelles. Got the trailing blue there for the nacelles themselves. Then we have the blue with the red there for the impulse engines. Quite a bit more of that conduit material there at the lower section of the secondary hull. More of the blue illumination also. You can see in the light hits it, you can see that pattern effect on the hull material. So a fair bit of that conduit material there on the ship. Then the same here again on the other side, quite a fair bit in the other part of the saucer there, that conduit material and associated lighting. Then engine trail wise, this shield has none. That's a bit unusual, but it's unique for this shield. Next up is the Courier Raider Vanity Shield, not to be confused with the new Breen one that we got in the recent Partners in Clyde lockbox. So this one, you might want to turn down the brightness on your monitor or put a pair of sunglasses on, because this will get very bright. So let's get this bare metal kind of material for the hull itself, with some black shading there. Then you can see the white there of the Bassard collectors, and the impulse engine effect there at the front of the nacelles as well. Then we have white there for the deflector. Got white for the nacelle colouring. And yep, white there for the impulse engines. You see some more of the black shading as we rotate around. So it does kind of look a very brushed metal kind of appearance for the hull material. Then as we do up, you can see just how bright it's going to get there as the light hits it. Some more touches of the black shading there on the underside. And then for the engine trails, got this white flame, as I've been corrected on a previous video effect, but then we've still got the standard Federation blue and that reddish orange. So it'd be much better if they were just white, and take a note of that, and you'll see me refer to that again just shortly. Next up is the Discovery Vanity Shield. Now this is one of the shields in the game that does have a different visual appearance depending on your faction alignment. So for Federation aligned, we get the appearance of Starfleet vessels in Season 1 of Discovery. So we see we've got quite a few different shades of grey and a pattern effect there for the hull material. We have that blue pattern effect there for the Bassard collectors. See the red impulse engine colouring there on the front of the nacelles. Then for the deflector, we've got the white there with the blue spokes on it. And you get a better view of that pattern effect there on the Bassard collectors, and then we've got this whitish blue pattern there as well in the centre. And we've got the same again there on certain points around the saucer section. Then we have the blue there for the nacelle itself. You see that pattern effect as the light's hitting the side of the ship there. Now with the honeycomb red there for the impulse engines. And you can see that pattern effect with the different shades to the hull material. And the same again here on the underside. Now for the engine trails, if you remember what I've just said on the Courier one, these are white. So why are these white when we've got the blue and red, and yet on the Courier one where we had the white nacelles and impulse engines, we had the blue and red trails? So I don't know if these were done around a similar time and somebody just mixed them up, but it'd be nice if they got swapped round. So this is the Discovery Vanity Shield on a Klingon aligned character. So we have this patterned brown hull material. It's supposed to look like what they claim to be Klingons in Discovery's ships. Then we have this red and pulsating white effect for the Bassard collector. And we've got this orange effect with this white light round the deflector array. Some touches of green there as well. The nacelle effect, so it's orange, yellow into white, these elliptical shapes. Then we have this orange, yellow and white pattern effect here on the impulse engines. We don't normally see the orange quite that vibrant on most ships. Then you can see the full extent of the pattern effect that the shield applies to the hull. Remember the same there on the underside. And then for engine trails, we have white, which does kind of match the effect that the shield is applying, because white is the predominant colour in both the nacelle and the impulse engines. So yeah, works quite well. Next up, it's the Discovery Refit Vanity Shield. So again, different shades of grey, just slightly darker than the Discovery Vanity Shield. A bit of a pattern effect to it as well, and almost a couple of bits of kind of like scarring on it. Then we've got the white there for the Bassard collectors, red again for the impulse engine effect. Then we've got this blue patterned effect there for the deflector. You see that pattern effect there in the middle of the Bassard collector area of the nacelle. And with this blue trailing almost into white for the nacelle colouring. Got the red there for the impulse engines. Almost a bit of light leakage coming through there. And then we've got more of that pattern effect on the underside as well. Then for the engine trails in this one, this orangish trail for the impulse engines, then got this very light blue going into white there for the cells and the warp engines. I think if that impulse trail had been a bit richer in red, I think that would have been spot on, but it's very, very close as it is. Here we have the Emerald Chain Vanity Shield. So we've got this greyish brown hull material. You can see a bit of a pattern to the material up here. And same around here as well. But the cells, so they're a very dull white with hints of grey in it as well. Same there for the deflector. And also for the impulse engine effect there at the front of the nacelle. The cells themselves, again, they're very dull white with this bit of grey shading leading into it. Same there for the impulse engine effect at the rear. Same on the underside there. You can see the full extent of the pattern effect on the hull material. And the same again here for the underside. Then for the engine trails in this one, then we've got that orange and this very light blue, almost white, very similar to that from the Discovery Refit one. Here we have the Emperor's Vanity Shield. So it's grey hull material and some purple shading. And this deep yellow there for the Bizarre collectors. The cyan blue there of the impulse engine effect. Deep yellow again there for the deflector. Deflector normally on this shield when you've got a full deflector array is quite a nice patterned orange one. Now got the yellow and touches of white there for the nacelle colouring. And then here you can see this blue dot illumination. So that is throughout the hull material, and it does give the appearance of a star field to it. And then we have that cyan lighting there for the impulse engines. We have the yellow lighting there at the bottom. Again, you can make out some of that blue dot illumination as we look down from the top. You can see it a bit clearer here in the more shaded areas of the ship. So it does almost mirror the starfield at the back of it there. And then that orange illumination there, more of that purple shading, and the grey there for the hull material as well. And then for the engine trails from this one, they match up nicely. So we have the cyan blue and we have the yellow. So very nice to see it matching up with the effect that the shield is putting on the ship. So next up it's those lovable Ferengi and the Ferengi Vanity Shield. So we have the orange shading for the hull that we see on the Ferengi vessels in the TV show, along with some gold shading and touches of grey as well. Let me zoom in a bit here and you can see that rivet detail. And I thought it was quite a nice touch. Then we'll look at the facade collectors. So we've got this yellow patterned effect there, that slightly lighter yellow there for the impulse engine effect. Then in the front here we can see quite a bit more of that rivet detail. Then we've got the yellow and the grey there for the deflector array. A bit of a close-up view of that pattern effect on the facade collector. Then we have the lighter yellow there for the cell colouring and the deeper yellow for the impulse. Yeah, and you see quite a bit of that rivet detail there on the saucer. Quite a bit of that gold shading there on the underside. Yeah, some more of the rivet detail as well. Then for the engine trails, they match up. So we've got the nice yellows marrying up with the effect that the shield's putting on the ship. Next up is the Hur'q Vanity Shield. So we've got this green hull material with this purplish shading as well. Then we have this illuminated green panel effect also. Now we zoom in a bit more. You can see that shaded sections there giving this textured look to the hull material. And we see the green there for the facade collectors. And with this pattern green here for the deflector. Again, more of that shading giving that textured look to the hull material. Got quite a bit of it there on the nacelles as well. Then we have the green there for the nacelles and also the impulse engines. Quite a bit of that green illuminated material there at the rear and again here on the side. Then we've got quite a bit more of that illuminated green material on the centre part there of the saucer. And then more of the green in that purplish brownish colour shading in there as well. And then we'll have the yellow trails again from the nacelles and the impulse engines. So unfortunately it doesn't match up with the effect that the shield's doing. Here we have the Kelvin Divergence Vanity Shield. So like the Discovery one, this has two different visual appearances depending on your faction alignment. So for Federation aligned, you get the appearance of the Starfleet vessels in the reboot films. So we've got different shades of grey with a pattern effect for the hull material. The facade collector effect on the shield is normally awful on most ships, but this is one of the very few that it doesn't look too bad on. So yeah, it actually works okay with this style. I like that. Then we have the impulse colouring there on the outer part of the nacelles at the front. Then we have this nice blue patterned effect there for the deflector. That's supposed to mimic the deflector from the Enterprise in the reboot films. And we've got the blue going into a very light blue, almost white there for the nacelles. Then we have this orange pattern effect there for the impulse engines. And the registry number's still white, so it blends into the hull material. It'd be nice if there was a setting that on the lighter hull material that defaults to black. And the underside's pretty much just the hull material and some touches of blue. And then for the engine trails, it's just the normal Federation one. If the blue had been slightly lighter, I think that would have worked quite well. So here we have the Kelvin Divergence Vanity Shield applied to a Klingon Alliance character. So we've got various shades of green for the hull material and some touches of grey there. And this yellow illuminated effect as well. And then we have the yellow there for the Facade Collector, red impulse engine effect there as well. I've managed to retain most of the pattern because I do really like this red deflector pattern on this shield. That's a wee touch of blue there as well. And we've got that blue and grey honeycomb pattern effect going on the nacelles. The red honeycomb pattern there for the impulse engines. And just at the rear going onto the pylons there, got some more of that yellow illuminated area. And for the underside, again just more of the various shades of green being applied. And a touch of red there. And more of that yellow illuminated squares. Then for engine trails, so it is the normal Federation one almost, but it does marry up again because we've got the blue, slightly darker than the cells, but not too bad. Still like that orangey colour for the impulse, so maybe a slightly deeper red would have worked better, but I think that's close enough. Next up is the Prodigy Vanity Shield, and one day I will get my teeth in properly and be able to pronounce that correctly. It is becoming one of my favourite shields in the game. It's just this grey hull material that I really do like. It's a very nice finish. And on this particular ship we get quite a bit more of a pattern detail there on the saucer. Then we have the blue and white there for the Facade Collectors, the red impulse engine there on the edges as well. Deflector, we have this orange and this white, and even a touch of blue there as well. Then we have that blue for the nacelle colouring, a nice red there for the impulse engines. You see the pattern effect within the hull material there. Just as that light hits it. And just the same here on the underside with that lovely grey and then the pattern material there as well. Then the engine trails match up. We've got this nice light blue and the red there. So again, very nice to see that marrying up with the effect that the shield's applying to the ship model. Next up, looking at another popular shield in the game. This is the Section 31 Vanity Shield. We've got quite a few different shades of grey here for the hull material. We've got some striped material there as well. One of the key things about this shield is it blacks out the Bizarre collectors. You see the red there of the impulse engine effect. And this nice pattern here to the deflector. A very bright cyan there for the nacelles, and the very bright red honeycomb there for the impulse engines. For the underside, we've got some more of that striped material there, and then the different shades for the hull material. Then for the engine trails, almost matches perfectly. I think if that had just been a touch bit more red for the impulse, I think that would be nice, but yeah, not bad at all. So this is the Shrike Vanity Shield. So I've got this rusty orange and this burgundy hull material. We've also got some grey shading there as well. We have the orange and white effect there for the Bizarre collectors. And this red and very white yellow effect there with some touches of orange for the deflector array. And we have the orange there for the nacelles. And got this red and white orange pattern effect there for the impulse engines. Same hull shading there on the underside, just with more of the grey there around the centre part of the saucer. Then for engine trails, we seem to have red and yellow, which doesn't marry up to shield effects at all, unfortunately. This is the Tzenkethi Vanity Shield. Now, I've said this God knows how many times, it is a very, very busy shield for the visuals that are applied. So we have the green and grey hull material there, and you can see the carved pattern in it. Then we have black shading. And then all this illumination here, that's all part of the material. And I'm going to zoom in a bit more, and we can see quite a bit of this is pulsating. The lighting effects, you know, it's quite a bit flashing away there. Then we look up, we've got the patterned white there for the Bizarre collectors, got the white impulse engine effects there as well. So again, a lot more of that illuminated panel effect going on with the pulsating lights. A touch there of orange with the white, and then this pattern grey for the deflector. And a lot of lights showing this material. And with the white there for the nacelles, white for the impulse engines. It's almost as if looking at a city from orbit with the amount of panel lighting that's been applied to the size of ship. Again, the grey, green and black shading there. Again, that carved effect in the material. Then for the engine trails, they are white, so that matches very nicely to the visuals from the shield. And last but not least is the Zhat Vash Vanity Shield, or the Army Camouflage as I tend to refer to it as. That's purely because of the greens and the sandy browns and the pattern effect. Always puts me in mind of an Army Camouflage on this particular ship. So we've got the green and white pattern there for the facade collectors, the red there of the impulse engines. Quite a nice green pattern there for the deflector array. A touch of grey there as well. Same there on the neck. Now quite the bright green there for the nacelles. And the red there for the impulse engines. And it's more of that two-tone patterned hull material there on the underside. And then for the engine trails, they are just back to the standard Federation ones, unfortunately. So the blue and the orange instead of green and red. And there we have it. That was the Scott class. So it's certainly an interesting design of a ship, I have to say. Probably not the most popular ones in the game, but I thought since I had it, it's something different, I'd do a quick video on it. So, as always, thank you all very much for watching. As I mentioned at the start there, we do have numerous links in the description below. So, we have my Real Merch affiliate link. That will get you 5% off your first order at realmerch.com. Now, just on Real Merch, I placed an order with them a few days ago. Order arrived. Unfortunately, there was an error. They'd included the Galileo shuttle rather than the Goddard one that I ordered. Quick email to customer services, had the correct model the following day. So, even if there is the odd error, their customer service team are very quick and very good at resolving the issues. Then we also have the STO Wiki link there. I also have a link to the main Star Trek Online news blog. Then I have my X and Blue Sky social medias there. And then we get on to the other content creators here. So we've got Casual Sab, who has YouTube and Twitch linked there. And the same for Nick NB and MC Stu. Then I've also got the Mutara Alliance Fleet Twitch stream. So they do giveaways on every stream and you don't need to be a member. So check them out on the next one. I really should encourage people to go and see them, because that just means more people entering the giveaways and less chance of me winning, but I'm generous that way. And last but not least is Thornburg. So I've recently started watching him on Twitch. It's quite entertaining. He's a disabled vet based in the US. So by all means, stop by and give him a check out. And that pretty much wraps this up. So this leaves me to thank you all again for watching. I'll catch you in the next video or the next live